Hey guys, and welcome back to the You Know the Drill podcast, the podcast hosted by me, Faris, and my mate Robbie, two fourth-year dental students producing content for all your dental needs. Whether you're a dental student or applicant, if you want to learn more about the reality of dentistry, this is the podcast for you. If you want to learn more about dentistry, make sure you follow us on our Instagram and our TikTok at You Know the Drill podcast. Thank you.
So today we have our first podcast with video.
Woo! Amazing.
So make sure you check this out on YouTube as well to see our wonderful faces. Anyways, back to business.
Nice.
Important topic today. And it's important for dental students and students studying A-levels. And that topic is time management. So it's an elusive term that strikes fear into the hearts of all dental students, but it's important nonetheless. So the important question on everyone's mind, Faris, how do you organize your time?
Oh, what a great question. I feel like this is a TV show now, by the way. Hi, guys. All right, so back to it. How do I organize my time?
Yeah.
I think I wish I had this like really cool answer, but it's kind of boring. I just use timetables. I've realized like just using timetabling and like to-do list apps, it just makes life like easy. Generally speaking, I use this app called Fantastical. Shout out to Karma Medic. I saw it in one of his videos. So there you go, little YouTube plug.
How does the app work?
So basically, you have like a calendar, but it's very just easy to input all the different tasks you want to do, and you can input tasks and events and like have like a to-do list checklist kind of vibe, or have it as just like timed vibes, and it syncs up automatically to your Google Calendar as well. So you've got the app where it's really easy to input stuff, and then you've got Google Calendar. It's just like less headache for me. I like it. And then I just do to-do lists as well. So I'll do that on notes, or I've got a whiteboard over there. Now I can point and people can see stuff that I just write like my to-do lists for the day. And yeah, once I do that, it just gives me a bit of clarity as to what I need to achieve. And I feel like every time like you tick a task off, it gives you like a bit of a dopamine rush. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. How do you organize your time?
Generally speaking, I found it easier to organize my time during A-levels. So I'll speak a bit about that, and then I'll explain later on in the podcast why I struggle a bit more in dental school. But in terms of A-levels, the way I'd organize my time is, again, to make a revision timetable. And this was especially important for me during the holidays, because I wanted to make sure I was doing stuff and pacing myself well throughout the holidays. But generally speaking, so a timetable, literally Stone Age, pen and paper, that was what I was using back then. Go day by day. I think the key thing that I realized is that it's very easy to get lost in not lost, but kind of
lost in the sauce.
Having tunnel vision, and kind of, just prioritizing what needs to be done in the short-term future. But with time management, there's so many different aspects, and you need to be able to kind of look at the bigger picture as well. So you need to plan for the short term, the medium term, and the long term. So yeah, it was just a matter of pen and paper, make a timetable. We've talked about this before, but the specification. So I'd make sure that I'd be able to answer all the objectives or all the topics in the specification, and I'd literally condense that into a timetable and like tackle a few learning objectives at a time. But that was it for me. No fancy apps like Faris.
Nothing too fancy.
I'm surprised you haven't told me about Fantastical before, actually.
It's just because I'm a snake, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just a snake.
You heard it.
Honestly, I don't know. I've only I started using it like a little while back, and I've just over time I found it more. Like at first I was like, why don't I just put this straight into Google Calendar? Just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But the app I just like the UI. It's really useful. It just makes life a bit easier. But I think another tip. So I think just to summarize the things, it's like having like a bit of structure helps. I think a lot of the time, you don't realize how much time you're spending doing things. Like just like wasting. Like it's okay, cool. It's fun to Netflix binge and stuff. Like I love like a little binge. Like I was binging Daredevil today. That's a good series to watch for all you guys that haven't seen it. But at the same time, it's just being wary of the time you spend. So instead of spending like 3-4 hours like binging something, binge like one episode, like binge like an episode and a half if you want to, and then come back to it later. It's not going anywhere. except for Daredevil that's coming out on like, they're going to get rid of it in like 8 days, but that's not the point. But yeah, generally speaking, exactly, priorities, exactly. But generally speaking, you should have like a list of things and have an awareness of how long things are going to take you. And with time, as you start doing things, you become hyper aware and you're like, okay, cool. Well, if I do this, it's going to take like 30-40 minutes. If I do that, it's going to take me like an hour. So I can do this. At first, you might be really motivated and you're like, cool, I'm going to do 10 things today. Because I've written them down. Like Faris and Robbie said, write it down. It's going to happen. You're going to start writing too many things and you're not going to do any. So start off with like a couple of tasks, like 3 or 4 that you're going to do. Whatever happens, as long as you're healthy and happy, whatever, all that stuff. But like you're going to commit to them, and then over time build that up. It's this idea of like habit formation. The easier you make your habits, the more likely you're going to stick. The more objective you are with your habits, the more likely you're going to stick to them. And if you just reward yourself after you do stuff like this as well, you can help yourself stick to habits as well. It's kind of like a habit training episode in a sense, because I feel like with time management, it is habits and making sure that you don't fall into the trap of, I'll do it tomorrow, because you'll never do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
we know you're not going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
what was it? I saw this video. He's a really famous YouTuber. I've forgotten his name now in the medical world. It's anyways.
Ali Abdal?
Yeah, Ali Abdal. So he says, get all your little tasks done that that will take you like 20 seconds to do. Just get them done. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it like removes the thought of you thinking, I have to do these tasks and I've got to incorporate it into my schedule. No, if it's something that's going to take you like less than a minute, just do it, get it out of the way. So that's a really key tip for time management. And that's what I've started incorporating. And like Faris was saying, I think to build on what you were saying, as you try to do it and practice time management more and practice different techniques and different skills, you get the hang of it, and it becomes easier. It becomes 100%. Second nature.
100%.
But yeah, once you get into that habit, it kind of, it literally is just going to feel so natural to you. And like before you start your day, you're going to have a plan out. You're going to know which tips and tricks are going to help you get the work done in the quickest time possible, in the most effective way possible. All of these things lead into time management, different revision techniques as well.
100%.
Discovering different
100%.
revision techniques that may be quicker for you. So, rather than watching a lecture and hitting pause all the time and writing it down, you could be typing up your notes, and that way you spend less time pausing the video. You have more time to memorize and more time to fit in your Netflix series, like Faris was saying.
Important.
All of this comes into time management. It is so, so important. And
100%.
Touching on the point I mentioned earlier about why I find it a bit different in dental school, it's purely in the sense that there's no like specification that you need to know in the course. So with A levels, I was kind of breaking it down like, okay, today I'm going to be doing these 5 points from the specification. And in dentistry or at uni, you don't really have that. So I find myself a lot of the time, and it's not good, but focusing on the short term and not focusing on the bigger picture. So like right now, I've got loads of essays to write. Faris and I, we both have them. And I'm like focusing on that.
Speak for yourself, bro.
But like, I'm not, I should have a part of my mind should be on like, our finals in May. I need to be thinking about that and getting my notes organized. And, you know, so that's why I feel there's a bit of difference between dental school and A levels. But
yeah, I think with dental school specifically and time management, not everything's as straightforward as A level. Like A level just feels a lot more regimented. Like it just kind of feels like, you need to get X, Y, Z done. Just get them done. With dental school, yeah, it's the same, but you've just got other things to worry about. Like I've got a patient that I need to see next week, and I need to worry about how am I going to prepare for that. Well, then the week after that, I need to do this particular, like practical exam.
Yeah.
Clinical skills this, clinical skills that. Oh, I need to read this paper. I need to do that. Like there's the things are quite varied.
And there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot going on that's not there. It's linked, but it's not the same type of content. So just to kind of like summarize what we're trying to say here is there's a lot more. This is kind of like giving you guys some tips as to what dental school is like. You can definitely manage your time, and it's not necessarily like I'm trying to say it's not. It is difficult. I do think sometimes it can be difficult, but it can be done with just a bit of structure. So sitting down, like a little bit, like having a little bit of a think about how you want things to be done. Like for example, Robbie right now is, he's worried about essays. He wants to get those done. For me, I'm not going to look at those essays right now. We'll both probably do fine, but it's just different ways. Like for Robbie, that puts him, that's his peace of mind. For me, if I started worrying about essays now, it would stress me out for all the other stuff. So I'm like, I need to focus on the stuff I want to do now, and then essays will come when they come.
Yeah.
Or, just do it whenever you get the chance to. But yeah, just in terms of being more efficient with your time, be intentional as well. So have like respect for your time.
Yeah.
I think what kind of put time in perspective for me is I think when I was working, like I had a job back in the day. Fun fact. And you get paid like per hour, and I'm like, okay, well, per hour, this is what my time is kind of worth.
Yes.
Which was a bit dismal at the time, which is what, £6.70 or something, which is still great, but my travel costs like £4, so literally, like I'd lose an hour of work. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But when I started saying, okay, well, my time is like worth money, I started thinking, well, that hour of Netflix is worth like £6.70. Like, obviously, I wasn't with like everything. So like, oh God, like when I go to eat outside with my friends, like I can only spend exactly 37 minutes to optimize. But it's just like being aware of your time and having respect of your own time.
Yeah.
And in a sense, that kind of allows you to prioritize the things that you need to get done. So I need to do, I need to film this video. I need to make sure that I talk about 1, 2, 3. And once you get into that mindset, you just find it a lot easier to keep track of things and just manage your time.
I guess optimizing your time is so important. You always hear that saying, work smarter and not harder. So I almost forgot it there, but yeah, work smarter and not harder.
Look at you, genius.
What can I say? No, it is important, and working smarter involves time management, and it involves you developing your skills in being able to learn effectively as well, and finding the correct method of learning that suits you. So I guess if I had to sum up everything that I wanted to say, is like, before you even think about what am I going to do, blah, 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 you need to figure out what is the most effective learning strategy for me. Okay. For me, it was writing out the specification and organizing it into different days and doing it like that in A levels. So find out your correct revision technique, and then make a plan with goals in mind. What do you want to accomplish by the end of the month? And then you can break it down. What do I need to accomplish by the end of 2 weeks? What do I need to accomplish by the end of this week? What do I need to accomplish by the end of this day? And then you can make a nice schedule, be it, if you're old-fashioned like me, pen and paper, or if you're techie like Farius, use apps, and all of that they're very easily accessible. And
they're free.
And they're free. Well. Yeah. So perfect for us.
I ain't paying for no organization apps, bro.
So yeah, and then after that, time management will come like that, second nature.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to also like say one thing about time management as well is, maybe you guys thinking, oh, they're always on top of things and stuff like that. It's like, no, like sometimes even with all these tips, you fall behind. Like sometimes, you kind of get overwhelmed with stuff. Like, I don't mean overwhelmed in terms of like I'm having a mental breakdown, but I mean overwhelmed in the sense of like, okay, there's quite a lot of things to do.
Yes.
And there's relative importance. Like everyone's kind of important. Which one do I start with? And you get like this decision fatigue. You're like, oh, do this, do that. What I kind of do to try and reduce that is I'll read out the tasks, and then the one that gives me like the most anxiety, like I'm like, oh, that needs to be done, I'll just do that one. Okay. And once that occurs, it just forces you to just get the boring and the horrible stuff out of the way first. And when you can get like, it's this idea of like eating the frog. I've got a video on this on Ferris Dent if you want to watch it. It's like productivity and stuff. Anyway, just starts to a plug. It's this idea of like eating the frog is like eating doing your worst task first. Yeah. Like getting that disgusting thing out of the way. It's not disgusting like to do an essay, but it depends how you interpret it. But just doing the boring stuff first. And when you do that, it kind of sets you up to just have a better day overall, because that's no longer looming on you. And I'm pretty sure, like, this is to A-level students, dental students, whatever. What happens in your revision is you normally, when you're like, you get into the zone, I'm going to revise, you always gravitate to the thing that you kind of know quite well and you enjoy learning, and you just do more of it. Like, you just keep doing it, but then you realize I'm just neglecting the stuff that I'm actually bad at. So now I kind of like do the opposite, and I'll just do whatever. What is the thing I hate the most? Let me just get it out of the way. Just do it. At first, you'll be quite slow and you'll start it and you'll quit halfway through and you'll be like, oh, this is not good advice. But over time, you start to build up like this, like you build this immunity to the hard tasks and
Yeah.
you kind of get used to it. But yeah, like sometimes you'll fall into lulls. Like even I'll just say, even now, like sometimes I'm just like, there's just too much to do and I just don't know what to do. You just get a bit like, oh, I'm meant to know how to, I have all these tips, just use them. But we're human. Sometimes they don't, life just gets a bit busy. And the way that I kind of get out of these lulls is if whenever a new task comes, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, look, things are piling up. Let's just get rid of the stuff that needs to be done first. Like, get the important stuff out of the way, and then get over, the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
With time. So yeah, have you ever like struggled with like time management sometimes and had like that overwhelming feeling?
Yes. It happens quite often to me. I'll be very honest.
Oh, okay. No,
it is something that's a struggle
Yeah.
for me. Like I'm giving out these tips because I hope it will benefit people. But like Faris was saying, life doesn't go to plan every single day.
No.
Sometimes I fall behind and like sometimes I'm not productive and I'm just tired. I want to watch my Netflix series or whatever.
Watch Daredevil, but yeah.
Watch Daredevil. Fair enough. I'm on Suits at the moment.
Fair enough. That's not bad.
But yeah, like it happens all the time, and in dentistry, like I don't know, you kind of have to accept it and learn from each time. Like, why did I fall behind? And why was my time management not optimal? In this period, what can I learn from it? How can I get better? And every time I've fallen into a lull, as Faris calls it, it's been for a different reason. Like, and it's all like helping to build up my resilience. What Faris was saying. So yeah.
It builds you up. It's like, it's like these little drawbacks and setbacks that kind of make you get used to the struggles that you have. One other really quick thing I'll tell you guys as well is, I think Robbie touched on this with the Ali Abdal tip, but just like to think of it practically, like sometimes you'll get like a message on WhatsApp or you'll get an email about a task you need to do. If it's not going to take too long, just do it then and there. Because you're always like, yeah, I'll just do it in a bit. But if you actually just get it done, you'll realize 99.9% of tasks, like the small ones, take maximum 5-10 minutes. If you get them done, then you get them finished, they're out of the way, and they're not just stressing your mind. Like, just do it. Another good tip is about emails. So, I don't know where I read this, probably Ali Abdal or like someone productive that's more productive than me. They're like, you should only read your emails like once a day. And you guys might be like, what are you talking about? That's rubbish. What if you get an email later? All right. So schedule a time where you're just going to read all your emails at once and read and reply to them all at once.
Yeah.
When you do that, it allows you to just dedicate some time, get them all done, rather than, throughout the day, cool, I get an email, I need to answer straight away. If you're answering a few hours later, no one's going to really care. Like, no one's really tracking you.
Yeah.
Unless they've like emailed you and said, oh, I don't know, my wife's given birth, I need a ride or something. I don't know if someone's going to email you that. But like, generally speaking, emails are never like super duper urgent unless it says it. So yeah, I think we'll try to wrap it up here. But just as like, some final tips, if I had to say one final thing, and Robbie have a little think as well. What did I say? I think I just want to say one thing, which is it's okay to be falling behind sometimes. I think it's a very natural thing to happen. I think even the most productive people do fall behind. And I'll say even with myself, like I find myself falling behind, a lot. But the reason why I don't let it stress me out is because I'm aware that, okay, it's a natural order of things. Like it's okay, you have to accept that sometimes things aren't going to go to plan.
Yeah.
But then have the methods that we've talked about. So like doing the boring stuff, having like some set tasks and to-do lists and goals. And with time, you'll start developing these strategies to reduce the likelihood of you feeling overwhelmed. So yeah, that's like the last point I'll give.
Okay. My final top tip is just have those long-term, medium, and short-term goals, and make your schedule or your timetable to kind of achieve those goals. Don't just do work day by day and work aimlessly and hope that everything will fall into place. No, have those long-term, medium, and short-term goals. Top tip.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Perfect. So that concludes our first ever YouTube video.
Yeah, YouTube video, podcast. This will still be going on Spotify and like all the platforms as well, guys. It's just like this is another medium for us to watch us and listen to us. And we might be doing some exclusive clips for YouTube coming soon. So watch out for that.
Keep your eyes out for that. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening and watching the You Know the Drill podcast.
Nice.
Make sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's also called You Know the Drill podcast. And the link is on our Instagram. So yeah.
creative name, of course. Yeah. And to find out more about dentistry, the application process, all that stuff, make sure you follow our Instagram and TikTok at You Know The Drill Podcast, and follow our, now we've got 2 YouTube channels. So follow my personal YouTube channel at Faris Dent, and follow the You Know The Drill Podcast YouTube channel. So yeah, that's a long name, isn't it? But yeah, just follow it, work it out. Just type it in, boom, 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 subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. We need the subscribers, please. All right, sick.
Cool.
All right, thanks for watching, guys.
Peace out.